Welcome back. Today I have a really fun video for you. Today is going to be some bath bombs, but they're going to be made in the molds of your little EOS lip balms. To do this, you're only going to need a few ingredients. You're just going to need 1/4 cup of epsom salts, 1/4 cup of citric acid, 1/4 cup of cornstarch, 1/2 cup of baking soda. You're going to need a tablespoon of castor oil. You're going to need some soap coloring or food coloring, some essential oils for the scent, and then 1 teaspoon of water. So this is really straightforward and easy. So let's get on to the mixing. So I'm going to put the 1/2 cup of baking soda in, followed by the other dry ingredients. I have 1/4 cup of cornstarch here, and then another 1/4 cup of citric acid. I will have all of the exact measurements and the recipe in the description box down below, but we are just going to whisk these all together and just get the lumps and everything out so that we can begin to separate it out and add our wet ingredients. So I decided to mix half of the dry mixture in each bowl just because I wanted to do 2 different colors. If you just want to make one color, then this is just an extra step you won't need to do. So I'm just going to carefully pour in about half of the mixture, just making sure that I get it as even as possible. It's really important that you get the wet and dry ratio correct, otherwise these won't set up right and they just won't fizz the way you're expecting them to. So just split that in about half and set that aside. Now we're going to move on to the wet ingredients. So I'm just using a tablespoon of castor oil. This is really great for your skin. It has a lot of awesome benefits and it's super duper hydrating, which makes your bath water like extra soft. It's awesome. So then you're going to need either a 1/2 teaspoon or a full teaspoon of your favorite essential oil. This is just going to be for the scent, so you can make it however strong or not strong you like. And then 1 teaspoon of water. So once we have all of that together, we're just going to give that a quick whisk before we separate that out and add the food coloring. So after you have separated your wet mixture into half as well, you can then add your food coloring. I did about 5 drops of each color. I just did a bright lime green and then a kind of neonish purple color. So again, if you want it more of like a pastel color, then don't use as much food coloring, but if you want it to be a brighter, more vibrant color, then you'll adjust your food dye accordingly. So the other thing is, I know you're probably concerned about the food dye and like staining your skin. It will not do that. You have enough water to kind of counterbalance the dye, so you're not gonna like turn into a green or purple monster after you use these in the bath. So what I'm doing here is just whisking while I pour this in. It's very important to continue whisking and kind of capture the wet ingredients as you're stirring it in. That way you don't activate it and start the fizzing. Basically, when your dry mixture becomes wet is when the fizzing happens. So you want to make sure that you kind of capture all of the wet ingredients as I showed you here. You don't want to just dump it in all at once, otherwise you won't get it as fizzy as you want it to be in the tub. So I'm just doing this with both batches. Like I said, I just chose green and purple. Just make sure you get that mixed up real well so the color is all evenly dispersed, and then we can start putting them into our molds. So I have already cleaned out my little EOS containers. Basically all you do is just pop out that middle piece, clean it out, and then we can start putting in the bath bomb stuff. So if you have a bunch of EOS that's like almost empty or just laying around, or you just want to make something cute like this, then this is the perfect DIY for you. So what I just did there was I filled it up just enough to where I could pop that little centerpiece back in there, and then I'm going to continue filling it from there. So basically I'm just putting my mixture on top of that little grate and pushing it through and making sure that this is really packed down. The more packed you have it, the better it's going to work in the tub. If it's loosely packed, you're just not going to have that same experience like you would with like a Lush Bath Bomb or something like that. So you want to make sure that it's really tightly packed. For the top part of your little EOS container, you're just going to want to fill that right up to the line. Once I've got this packed down, you'll be able to see it just a little bit better. So I'm just packing that as full as I can and then scraping off the excess where it would not allow me to close the container. This is really important because you might have to restuff it a million times if you don't get it right. That's what I had to do. Trial and error, my friends. So just make sure it's as clean as possible on the sides before you close it up. That way it molds together perfectly. And then after I had it closed up, I like banged on it on the floor. I don't know if that actually did anything. In my mind, that just helped everything set together. So that is what it looks like once you're done. So after you fill up the EOS lip containers that you have, you might have a little bit extra. I just had a couple little Easter eggs on hand from another DIY that I did. If you haven't seen that, link down below, you should totally check it out. So I just put the remaining mixture into these eggs and it worked perfectly. So this is kind of what they looked like. I popped them in the fridge for about 30 minutes, or you could just let them dry overnight. And this is what they look like. So I thought this would be a really fun idea for, you know, if you're traveling and you like to take baths or have, you know, bath bombs with you or whatever. You would probably have to use a couple of these to get the full effect. But the coolest part is when you drop it in, it like kind of self-cleans. So you don't have to worry about re-cleaning out the EOS container. So here is the final product. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching this DIY with me today. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video if you liked it, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!
It's like a dream when we both get together and free.